But sometimes people don't get the same message. It can have a lot of negative consequences and even be dangerous for people's lives. Make sure you watch our video until the end to know more about the secret message you were supposed to see in the new Pepsi logo.
If you want to watch just one more video, the Premium is the platform where you should go. Get early access to videos from The Things, The Taco, The Trendy, The Richest, and many other great channels in one place with ad-free browsing. Click this link to sign up for the Premium and get ready to binge watch videos from your favorite channels.
If this is your first time visiting our channel, don't forget to subscribe to The Things, and please give this video a big thumbs up. Today, we're showing you 10 biggest logo fails of all time. London 2012. During the Olympics, the country invested a lot of money in their logo, more than $450,000. The shapes were based on the year 2012, and it came in vibrant colors. The organizing committee's goal was to reach out to young people around the world and to inspire everyone to achieve personal goals. They thought that it was more than a logo. It was a brand that would take them forward for the next 5 years. But many people didn't see it this way, and the organizing committee wishes that no one remembers their logo anymore. It was compared to a broken swastika, the symbol of Nazism. As most people in the world don't have the privilege to be white heterosexual men, it was an insult for many of them. Iran also threatened to boycott the Olympic Games because it looked like the word Zion, a biblical term referring to Jerusalem. These controversies affected the participation of several countries, so we can say that they totally missed the mark. But that's not all. The logo was also dangerous for people's lives. How is that even possible? The animated footage used to promote the new brand triggered seizures in people suffering from epilepsy. Epilepsy Action said that it could affect up to 23,000 men and women in the UK who suffer from photosensitive epilepsy, and some of them already went to the hospital. They immediately removed the video from the website and created a better one. We never thought that a logo could fail so bad. Uber. This company caused a lot of controversies when they offered to replace taxis. Instead of paying for an expensive taxi driver, we had the chance to pay a lower price and benefit from what many people call a better service with freelance drivers. But many people believe that they were stealing the job of taxi drivers who have more responsibilities than a random guy driving a car. Should we protect the taxi drivers, or is it okay to look for something better? This is a question that many people ask. And as we were getting used to Uber, something else caught our attention and left many people scratching their heads. Uber changed their logo. Instead of the letter U that we all recognize, they changed their logo to... we don't even know what that is. According to the company, it represents bits and atoms. How could you find a worse way to describe a company with a simple picture? There are bits and atoms everywhere. It has nothing to do with Uber, and it certainly won't help them stand out. One of the reasons why some products are so popular is the logo. When we often see a logo, we get more familiar with it, and we start to be more comfortable with the company. This is why it is easy for us to make a decision. But this time, Uber was already popular and easily recognizable. Changing their logo was nothing but a bad idea that made them waste a lot of money. Sci-Fi Channel. If you like extraterrestrials, mad scientists, and time traveling, you probably already know the Sci-Fi Channel. In fact, more than 80% of Americans who own a television receive Sci-Fi. The channel owned by NBC features science fiction, horror, fantasy, supernatural, paranormal, and more. These kinds of shows are often associated with nerds. There's nothing to be ashamed of, but the channel didn't want to be associated with that. This is why they changed their name and their logo, because they believed it would make them cooler. And they believed that the right way to appeal to young people was by spelling their name in a different way. In 2009, the Sci-Fi Channel was changed to simply Sci-Fi with the letters Y. But instead of making it more popular amongst teenagers, it just made them laugh. At that time, Sci-Fi was also slang for syphilis, an STD. And this is certainly not something that anyone wants to have. People also made fun of the new spelling by calling it Sci-Fi instead of Sci-Fi. But changing the name of their brand also came with a lot of advantages. They were able to protect it by a trademark, so it was easier for them to market it and make sure that no one would mistake it for another brand. Moreover, it was not only about science fiction anymore, so they were able to add reality shows to their programming. The new name isn't so bad after all. We already got used to it. Apple. Most of us see this logo every day, whether it is on our cell phone, our computer, or our iPad. Apple has become one of the most popular brands in the world, and we can see people waiting for hours outside the store to buy the newest iPhone. You probably don't remember the very first logo, which portrayed Sir Isaac Newton sitting under a tree. This one wouldn't look good on a computer, but many people could remember the second logo, the rainbow apple that was used from 1976 to 1998. Jobs wanted to come up with something more modern. The colors represented that he wanted everyone to think differently. Some of you might notice that the colors of the rainbow were not in the right order, but Steve Jobs made that choice because he wanted the leaf to be green. So what is wrong with this logo? The 80s were a hard time for Apple, and the logo was too expensive for them. The computers were manufactured with metal casing instead of plastic, plastic ones, and the rainbow didn't look good on it. This is why the company came up with the monochrome logo. Their mistake was fixed, and this decision was probably one of the best they ever made. The apple still exists nowadays, and we can see it almost everywhere. Just because you fail doesn't mean you can't make things change and find something better. Apple is one of the best examples of that. Hydrox. Most of you don't know anything about this brand, but once you see what they're selling, you will immediately recognize them. These two chocolate cookies with icing in the middle look like Oreos, don't you think? And these two brands are actually really similar. But you'll be surprised to know that Hydrox came first. The brand started selling cookies in 1908. Nabisco copied them 4 years later when they introduced Oreos. Those who knew the first brand knew that Hydrox was better because the cookies were sweeter and made with healthier ingredients. But if you try to find Hydrox cookies nowadays, you won't be able to buy some because they don't exist anymore. Why were Oreos more popular than Hydrox cookies? It all comes to branding. The name Hydrox had nothing to do with cookies. It was the combination of the words hydrogen and oxygen. That would have been cool for water bottles, but it didn't inspire customers to buy desserts. The company didn't talk to branding experts and customers, and it was their biggest mistake. Even if you have the best product in the world, people won't buy it if you can't find a good way to sell it. And this is exactly what happened to Hydrox. Oreo is now one of the best-selling cookies of all time, and Hydrox will be lost forever. This is the proof that looks do matter after all. Starbucks. If you are a coffee lover, you probably can't resist the temptation to go to Starbucks every time you see one. And this is not good for your wallet, if there's one right next to your school or the place where you work. We have to admit that we always feel a little less lonely when we see this familiar siren on the logo, and this is why people were pissed off when they saw that it changed in 2011. On the first logo in 1971, you could see the mermaid with her breasts exposed and her legs spread. We understand that the changes throughout the years made her more family-friendly. We can all agree that the siren is what makes Starbucks recognizable. And don't worry, they didn't get rid of her. She was so popular that they got rid of the Starbucks coffee and let her alone on the logo instead to commemorate the 40th anniversary. They thought that it was enough for us to recognize the brand. We still do, but that doesn't mean that we wanted it to change. Fans started writing on social media that the company needed to leave the siren alone. They didn't want her to change. The company received more than 100 responses on their website, and most people were not happy. If you want to celebrate 40 years of success, why would you do it with something that risked to be a failure? Take a note, Starbucks. JCPenney. One of the reasons you might not know this American department store chain is that you didn't need to buy windows or appliances before 2012. It is the year when they changed their logo and lost a lot of customers. It all started when the new and now ex-CEO, Ron Johnson, tried to make the company cooler. This man was known for making Apple really successful in retail stores, and he wanted to do the same with JCPenney. He rebranded the company to simply JCP and changed the logo. He thought that this new design was hip, chic, and modern. But he should have known that what he thinks doesn't really matter if that's not what the customers think. The logo awareness decreased by 28%, meaning that people didn't recognize the store anymore. The store sales were down 32%, and the stock was down 46%. People said that it was the worst performance in the history of major retail, losing more than $550 million in total in 1 year. Ron Johnson was only the CEO for 17 months, and it was enough for him to totally miss the mark. He didn't work there anymore and was replaced by Mike Ullman. This new CEO made sure that everything went back to how it was before, including the logo. He probably hopes that no one will remember what happened to JCPenney in 2012, as it was a terrible year for the company. Tropicana. For many of us, this is one of the first logos that we see every day. We all love to drink a big glass of orange juice in the morning, and Tropicana is always there for us. But there was a time when we thought that our favorite brand suddenly disappeared. What happened at that time? Once again, it was because someone randomly decided to change the logo in 2013. We usually don't look consciously at logos because we recognize them in less than a second. So when Tropicana came up with a totally different branding, we didn't even take the time to look twice and just thought that the grocery store didn't sell our favorite brand anymore. And it is not easy to miss, as Tropicana takes a lot of space in the juice section. Many people think that customers also had trust issues. They liked to buy a product from a brand they knew. But when the packaging changed, it made people believe that the product changed too. With the generic look, they started to think that it was a generic product, and they didn't want to see that in their fridge. The consequence was that their sales dropped 20% in 1 month. Companies should learn a lesson there. Changing their brand is not only about hiring a designer. They also need to make sure that this is what the customers want, and this is what could save them. Gap. Here's another brand who didn't learn anything when they saw that many other companies failed with their new logo. We all know Gap as a clothing store, but when its look changed, we didn't recognize it anymore. Once again, this mistake was made because companies didn't ask for customers' opinions before the new logo launch. On October 4th, 2010, the logo was supposed to represent Gap's tradition from a classic American design to a cool, modern, and sexy look. But that's not what we see in it. Was it the logo of a cheap grocery store or an old bookstore? We don't know what this store is selling anymore. This time, the company did not only receive negative negative comment. People even created the website Crap Logo to make fun of the situation. People could enter any text and see how it was transformed into Gap's logo. The company was really optimistic and decided to use the negative energy in a positive way. They said that they were thrilled to see such passionate debates unfolding. If the customers didn't like the new logo, they could share another design. But the crowdsourcing would never come. The logo lasted for only a week before they changed it back to the original logo, which makes it one of the worst logo fails we have ever seen. At least they didn't spend too much money on that, and this fail gave them a lot of attention. Pepsi. In 2009, Pepsi paid $1 million for its new logo. They said that it had something to do with the golden ratio, numerical harmony, and the Earth's gravitational field. They even mentioned the Mona Lisa, the Parthenon, and Descartes. But we're not sure about that, and we don't think that anyone understood this secret message. They might have scientific facts to back it up, but we shouldn't need to have a doctorate degree to understand a simple logo. The designers won't be happy to hear that many people see something else in that logo. It is a fat man holding a can of Pepsi. Once you see it, you will think about it every time you see this logo. But this is not the only logo fail associated with Pepsi. Don't you think that their logo looks like the logo of Korean Air? We hope that people won't mistake these two. No one wants to accidentally end up in another country when they just wanted to buy a drink. No matter what, the rebranding was a total waste of money. Pepsi changed the logo many times over the decades, but Coca-Cola barely changed theirs. It seems like this last solution is less expensive and really efficient too. No need to change a logo when it is one of the most popular in the world and everyone already likes it. Are there any other logos that you don't like? Don't be shy to tell us about it in the comment section below. And that's it for 10 biggest logo fails of all time. If you want to know more about logos,